It's time now to take a look at stories making headlines on Nigerian newspapers. And I have with me in the studio a journalist, Dari Odufowokan, and a lecturer from the University of Lagos, Dr. Dan Ekere. Gentlemen, good morning. Thank you for joining us on TVC Breakfast.
Yeah, good morning. Thank you.
Right.
Good morning, Nigerians.
All right, let's head straight to the papers now. And I begin with the Daily Sun. National Assembly bows to Buhari on electoral bill, expunges provision making direct primary compulsory, passes bill allowing parties to use direct, indirect primaries, consensus option to pick candidates. We move to the Daily Times now. Electoral Act Amendment Bill, National Assembly makes U-turn, approves direct, indirect primaries. To the front page of the Nigerian News Direct now. Senate re-amends electoral bill, approves direct, indirect or consensus for party primaries. And on the front page of the Punch newspaper, Electoral Act Amendment, Senate bows to Buhari, includes consensus for party primaries. Senate adds consensus to House of Reps direct, indirect primaries proposal. Consensus will subvert popular will, antithetical to democratic principles. CSOs are reacting already. All right, to this Nigerian newspaper, Electoral Amendment Bill, why National Assembly buckled, deletes controversial clause, mixed reactions from CSOs, other Nigerians. And to the front page of the Blueprint, Electoral Act Amendment Bill, CSO slams Senate's consensus option, bill remains in limbo. To the Guardian newspaper, CSOs knock Senate over consensus option as NAS re-amends bill. Senate reps bow to Buhari's request on Electoral Act. Consensus option undemocratic, says Sislak. Huriwa legislature a captive of Buhari. National Assembly attempt to over-regulate political parties unnecessary, says Ulurodi. Buhari has no option but to assent to bill, says Women Forum. Right, to the front page of the Daily Trust now. Convention APC to pick chair from 4 contenders. Aspirants lobby Buhari's men as convention timetable released. Yari Sheriff Yuguda edged out. President has final say. Crisis persists in Zamfara, Sokoto, Abia, Benue chapters. To the Nation newspaper, governors tighten grip on APC ahead convention. You find a lot of the details on the pages of the Nation newspaper. To the Vanguard now, convention tension as police take over APC secretariat. CECPC releases timetable, denies zoning chairmanship to North Central. Don't allow looters hijack delegates, Oshibaju Group tells Buhari. APC, South leaders once against electing ex-governors as party leaders. Ex-Lagos Council chairman mobilized for Tinubu. Shinkafi Zamfara governors ally battles Yari, 11 others for chairmanship. To the Leadership newspaper, ex-generals, governors, regional groups may determine 2023 election. And to the First News newspaper, 2017 invasion, Nnamdi Kanu finally gets justice. The details on the pages of the First News newspaper. To the national economy now, Nigeria needs sustained investment, border control to attain rice sufficiency. To the Business Day, Naira to face pressure on low oil output, rising interest rates. As you find the details on the pages of the Business Day. All right, gentlemen. Let's look at this story that is already generating reactions and is on a majority of the papers this morning, talking about the Electoral Act Amendment Bill. The Senate resumed earlier this week and looked into the bill yesterday, expunged what the concerns raised by the president, and have now injected both direct primaries, indirect, as well as a consensus candidate. But that is generating reactions. So some persons are saying that it is undemocratic. Others are also reacting in divergent ways. But then let me begin with you, Dari. Did you expect anything different from the Senate with regards to they towing this line? Recall that sometime in December, before they went on recess, there were some that were, gathering signatures, and then later they came up with they were going to, consult with their constituents, and now this is the result that we're getting.
Sometimes in November.
December, I think, or November.
December.
Yes.
I told you, the senators and the reps member will not overrule the president. I said it on this table. It's simple. This is democracy, party democracy, to be precise. And the president and the leadership of the current National Assembly belongs to the same party. And we are in an election year. 2023 is here. It starts from 2022. The factors, the considerations go beyond political correctness.
Right.
There are so many other things to consider. Undercurrents. That is one. Two, we have an electoral bill that is the determining factor of a lot of things to happen from now. ELEC already told us, unless and until that bill is passed, they cannot even roll out any timetable for election.
Right.
Because a lot of things in the Electoral Act needing the president's signature will determine how the elections will go. And the commission is not ready to take chances. They are not ready to gamble to say, okay, this is how we will do it. When they are not sure of which rules and which laws will guide the said election. So, for every right-thinking legislator or group of legislators, caucuses in the House, interests in the House, there are two major things to consider at this crucial time concerning this electoral bill. One is the sanctity of our electoral process as it regards to 2023. Two is the internal considerations of party politics of the individual legislator. Don't forget, governors on both sides across party lines are against direct primary. Right. It is not a PDP or an APC matter. Governors across, beyond party interest, are against this. Legislators beyond party interest across party lines are for it. So when you want to fight such wars, you are very cautious. And the president has finally shown his hand. This is where I stand on this matter. They are first politicians before they became legislators. All right. They are first politicians because they became national lawmakers. So they will put into consideration factors beyond what interests me and you. And that's the bane of democracy sometimes. Right. It will end up as the rule of the minority. The entire populace, Nigeria, may want, the majority of Nigerians may want it this way, but we have elected a few to represent our interests. And if those few gather together, consider other interests outside our interest, and takes a decision, it becomes a minority rule in the long run. Right. So
let me take the conversation to Dr. Ekere, especially with the injection of a consensus option, which some CSOs are now saying that it is undemocratic and could cause we having loads of litigations at the end of the day.
Whether or not, there will always be litigation. But the important thing is that we must recognize that what has just happened, beyond the issue of political correctness and the rest, shows clearly that the National Assembly didn't do a thorough job. Yeah, sentiments were upper in their mind than the real interest of, the parties and the democracy we are practicing. Because at the end of the day, what was the idea of these direct primaries and no other option? What was it all about? A lot of them had the fear that governors have hijacked, the political parties, and it could even be to their own exclusion. So they were looking for ways that they could take charge of their own, spaces. No, but at the end of the day, other interests have come to bear, and the governors are so influential. And again, we have, you know, a system, this particular, you know, National Assembly is such that has a lot of regard for the president. And they will not want to toe a line that will look as if they are at loggerheads with the president. So otherwise, from all indications, clearly a lot of people were actually, you know, positively disposed to the idea of direct primaries because they know that they will be able to play some role. But then we equally know that in political party democracy, there is that respect for parties to equally make their choices.
Absolutely.
What will be wrong with indirect primaries? What will be wrong with direct primaries? So make the options open so that you don't limit them to a particular space. You know, but when you look at it very critically, what has come to bear now is more of the interest of, you know, those who, the politicians themselves, not even the people. Yes, it's not really about the people. You discover that sometimes democracy is equally a dictatorship of its kind. Yeah, because at the end of the day, when you look at what plays out, the people who have elected these, you know, individuals to represent them might have a particular position.
Of course.
But because individuals are considering their own interests.
And we even separate interest from all of this.
You can't take it out. You can't take it out. That is why the governors, the roles they are playing is about themselves as well. But they have forgotten that they will not be there forever. Some of them who have finished their 2 terms wanted to be senators. And because of this kind of issue, they were eventually, the same rules they made affected them negatively. So if anyone is thinking that what he has done will protect his or her interest forever, you just waste your time. So the most important thing is look at the general interest. Where will it profit this country? Where will democracy be deepened? Is it by limiting them to direct primaries? Is it by opening the options? So these are the challenges we must confront as, you know, we progress in our democracy. Because without that, for as long as we continue to look at our personal interests alone, sometimes you will discover that you're actually offending the general interest. So for me, I do not see any serious, you know, thing coming out of it before, as soon as the president took a position. Because, yes, considering the issue of 2023 and not the various things, you know, tied to it, it was clear to me that this was the way they were going to. Because initially, Bajabi Amila, the Speaker of the House, came out to say that the President actually prefers the option of direct primaries.
Because he was a beneficiary.
So that he was a beneficiary does not mean he preferred the option. It shows clearly that the man did not tell us the truth. Because if the President was disposed to that position, he's kind of person that we have no, I'm not sure any advice will change it.
Right.
Yes. So clearly they didn't even do any due diligence. That's what I've seen. Because that you are a lawmaker does not mean that you just take every decision yourself. You must consult. It's not just about the people alone. Even the executive, what stops you from, you
consulting
know, yes,
with them.
You know, without that, at the time you put all the interests together, you do a proper harmonization and synchronization, and you discover that you will take the right steps, so that all this issue of back and forth will not arrive. But the important thing is that let the electoral bill be passed, and let the INEC know what to do.
As it stands,
yes.
Are you confident that it will be passed? Recall what happened in 2018, where at some point the president had to say that the time was too short and he wasn't going to assent to it.
Yes, that one happened then, but I'm not sure for now the time is too short. We see
INEC, you know, talking.
But whichever way, at least there's a law that gives INEC the powers to determine which mode of operation they want to use in conducting an election. So whether they pass this bill or not, election will take place. INEC can as well take a stand on what it wants to apply because the law has given it the power.
But he just said something that INEC is seemingly saying this because there's so much that has to do that is embedded in the bill.
That is very correct. But should the president fail to sign, and should the National Assembly fail to override the president, are you saying election will not? Election will still take place.
Election will still
yeah, but the challenge INEC is having now is that they want to be very precise.
They may INEC be known, for example, as it is now, there is a law. That's the law being amended.
Right, yeah.
It has not been overruled.
Right.
It's still in existence.
It's still a law, yeah.
But what INEC is saying is 3 months, 4 months, 2 months, a month to election, you finally amend this bill, it will throw all our plans into the bunker. So let's know what you want to do so that we also can start planning. And then that will take me to the issue of this back and forth, really. It may not be too, one may not be too right to say the National Assembly did not do due diligence, the way I look at it. But Benjamin Amila boldly told us that Mr. President is disposed. He was talking from a position of information. But you must also know that the president is also a politician. Majority of Nigerians who have listened to Mr. President talk expected him to assent to that bill. Because he has always mounted party democracy. He has always mounted supremacy of the voters, party membership. He has always said the party belongs to the members. So indirectly, he is a man who feels, and he has always reminded us of how he has been elected as candidate twice. Right. On 2 occasions, he garnered votes from across the country from party members. It was not endorsed by any leader. It was not a consensus. It was not delegate election. So, but why did he capitulate to? That's politics. You said it, you nailed it when you said the governors are very, very influential. The president still has almost about 2 years to spend in office. He will be needing all the political actors he can hold on to ensure a smooth administration. The governors did not hide the fact that they were bringing their weight to bear on all sectors of our governance over this matter. And they went all the way. Even at a point, we thought the lawmakers, the NAS members, were united as a bloc. But soon we started seeing cracks. Yeah. Some of them started backing out and saying, I never said this about governors. When somebody was told that he said governors are greedy and they want to use the... He came out to quickly do advertorials. I never said that because remember he has a governor too. When the politicians are the most unpredictable set of people you can come across. The president is not exempted. The president of the Senate is not exempted. The speaker is not exempted. The same speaker yesterday had to come down and explain why, after all said and done, they have to amend the bill. But don't lose sight of the issue of consensus. Yes. The House has refused to add consensus to its own amendment. And the bill, the 2 positions must be harmonized. That is one clause of the bill we must quickly begin to talk about. What's consensus? That party leaders can sit down and say, okay, and decide, we have decided that this is... I don't see it as a problem. Because the electoral already explained how you can apply consensus. It says where there are no dissent voices. So if I am contesting with doctor and you decide that, oh, we are using consensus, fine. Then you tell us that we have chosen doctor. For that consensus to say true, I must not complain. Once I complain, there is no consensus. Absolutely. So why should we bother ourselves about the injection of that? Let it go. So far, all the parties will play to the rules. Don't forget that even with all this electoral law, bill and what have you, the Constitution is supreme. Absolutely. And the Constitution talks about my right to protest, to litigate, if I feel that process is not fair onto me. So we have a system that what we are just trying to do as a nation now is to evolve further in our democratic experience. If we keep doing things according to the rules, these new laws we are making, it is not the beautiful thing. It is actually how we apply them. If we apply them well.
So that brings me to the next issue, because I really want to understand. Are these laws, these modes of primaries, talking about direct, indirect, or consensus, really the issue? Are they the issue?
That's exactly what I'm saying, that these are not the issues, but how we will apply them.
Applying them.
How we will apply them. They are beautiful on paper.
Party constitution and all.
Each party has its own constitution. Now we are saying be guided by this electoral law. Don't forget, we still have our constitution as a nation. So all these are provisions to help us do things rightly. But are we going to do them rightly? Are we going to really submit ourselves?
Are we?
I'm asking you.
No, you can't ask me. You are the guest here. Are we?
You see, maybe we should ask doctor.
The fact remains that democracy on its own, people just have this general belief that it is one very robust system that brings about everything. Democracy on its own has no no correlation with development. It doesn't bring about the development we are looking at.
Really?
People, yes, it doesn't.
Why?
Okay, how democratic is Dubai itself? Look, it's not about development. The thing is that people just want to feel like they are part of the system. But the truth remains that even in our own disposition, kingship has been a practice. Don't forget. All right? And it worked well in some places. Democracy itself has the same attribute of kingship. Because, wait, look at the last Anambra election. How many people voted for Professor Soludo? And he's a governor. They were not even up to a local government. At the end of the day, you see majority of what? So it is still the dictatorship of the minority in a way. You know, out of that minority, you now have a majority of a minority taking a decision for an entire society. So the challenge is the same. Our focus should not really be about the electoral bill as such. That is not where our problem is. Get the best of law there. As long as it is being implemented by humans. It is a human disposition to goodness that matters. As long as we are not committed to that particular project where we will ensure that things are done the way they ought to be done, in terms of the welfare of the people, in terms of provision of infrastructure and the rest of it, will an electoral bill stop people from stealing? Will it stop people from inflating contracts?
Not at all.
So these are the challenges we really have. The idea of some persons putting in their pockets what belongs to all is the real problem we have here. It's not because we do not know that we need roads. It's not because we do not know that we need to, strengthen our system. But in strengthening them, people are more concerned about themselves. As long as we equally have this challenge of it has to be from this tribe or it has to be from that tribe, we will never get it right. Because at the end of the day, the moment your own person gets there, your people begin to take a different stand. Today, it is the North. Maybe tomorrow when it comes to the South, you begin to hear of OPC and the rest of them again. These are the challenges we really have. Are we one? Are we together until we address that challenge? And the way of one way of addressing it is practicing the federalism that we claim to be practicing. What we are doing now, obviously, is not federalism. Right. Why would you say that the oil in my place, for instance, is the oil of Nigeria, but the problem that it brings is my problem? That cannot work. So let us federate. I've not seen where in the federal system people will share money at the center. The center should be in fact, it should be at the mercy of the units. Not the units being at the mercy of the center. Where is Nigeria outside the local governments? Where is Nigeria outside the various communities we have? What do you call Nigeria? So a scenario in which we put the presidency over and above the state itself, that is, I mean the entire country, then we'll continue to have this challenge. That is why today people are talking about how to fund budgets, how to do this, how to do that, when in actual fact, what they need to survive is in their soil, is around their people. And the rest of, so we need to get to that point where we will understand that we ought to be federating, not just by name. If we limit that federation to nomenclature. Are we on the path
of getting to that point? Are we on the path?
There is no sign.
Right.
Just a while ago, the president told us that he has no, in fact, he doesn't consider the issue of state police at all. Have you seen any federal system where we don't have, the police system around the communities?
Right. We have very short time. Your final word on this.
Yeah, my final word is to actually agree with Doctor that we are not federating. And in spite of all these laws, federation should be bottom up, not from top down.
Bottom.
The center should be receiving from the units. As long as the units, you pack everything from the unit, take it to the center and start sharing again, we're not federating. We can't really get, then federating is when we have police at local government level, at state level. When community policing is over and above federal police, that's federating.
Our time is up, gentlemen. Lecturer from the University of Lagos, Dr. Ekere, as well as journalist Odufowokan. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for
newspaper review.
Thank you.